Holy heck, we are back. Yeah, I know it's been a while. I will say that, and we're not going to talk too much about it. I'm just going to tell you guys that I basically just like took the summer off. I had things to do. I needed to focus on the album. I needed to focus on the film. I needed to focus on myself. Focus on yourself, kings, as the phrase goes. But your boy is back. I am back with a new episode of the Jaron Ikner Show. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff. I'm going to try and make this like a supersized episode to kind of like make up for lost time because I know that I haven't been around for a minute. Also, like, I just know that I'm just not a consistent person. Like, I've accepted the fact that I'm not consistent. I try to be better at it, but I realize that, like, honestly, I'm very consistent at being inconsistent. It's a flaw that I've accepted. It's a flaw that I have determined is just going to be the way that I am. And that's just how it's going down. But yeah, anyways, this is the Jaron Ikner Show for you guys who are brand new and don't know what's happening here. I am a multimedia artist out of Arizona, and I've been doing this for like 20 years, damn near. And I do all kinds of stuff. I rap, I make movies, I do live streams, I make skits, I do all kinds of stuff. Basically anything media related I do. And I'm only giving this intro because it's been such a long time and there might be new people watching this like, what is this guy about? That's what I'm about. But we have a lot to talk about. I have a long list of stuff over here in my little box over here that we're going to talk about. But make sure you guys like follow or like or share the video to all your favorite people so we can get into this. But just to touch on what we're talking about today, we're going to talk about Diddy. Oh, he's over here. Diddy. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the Epstein list. We're going to talk about Spider-Man 4 and the Marvel Universe as it is right now. And movies in general. I'm going to touch on a bunch of stuff there. We're going to talk about... what else I got on here? Oh, yeah. We're talking about lists. We're going to talk about lists. We're going to get into some lists and talk about that for a bit. And also, we're going to talk about... what's the last thing I have on here? The last thing I have on here is... I don't even know. I don't know. This is a surprise, I guess. But anyways... We're going to go ahead and talk about Diddy first, just because it's all relevant right now in terms of what's going on in this country. And first of all, I will state that when it comes to Sean Puffy Combs, Puff Daddy, P. Diddy, what are we calling him? I actually, like, as a child, really admired Puff Daddy, Bad Boy Entertainment. It's a staple in my life as a kid. That whole Bad Boy run with Puff Daddy, Mace, The Lox, Biggie in the late 90s, that basically built a whole universe inside of me to get me to where I'm at right now. Like, I would say that, like, that era is one of the most defining moments in my life in terms of, like, my career and, like, decisions that I made. And a lot of this has to do with the fact that, like, we're about to get kind of deep and psychological right off the bat. Right off the rip. But as a child, I didn't have a lot of father figures. My father passed away when I was 8 years old. And my uncles and my brothers, they were out there living their best life. They weren't really around like that. And so I didn't really have like a lot of male black figures in my life to look up to. And then all of a sudden you have MTV popping up. And not only MTV, but like the rise of like the glamour pop, hip hop, rap shit. And what you saw there, mostly this was held by like Puff Daddy. And it's called the shiny suit era, if you guys are in the know. The shiny suit era affected me greatly because when I got home from school, I would do like one or two things. I would go home and watch Dragon Ball Z, and that was on Toonami. That whole Toonami lineup was just smacking as a child. Like, get home, Dragon Ball Z. There's a couple of shows I don't remember what else is on there, but like Dragon Ball Z was a particular one. But then also TRL. And also that later in that evening, depending on the day of the week, the MTV Top 40 Countdown, music video countdown. These three things like really shaped my musical like birthings, I guess. I was already making music at the time, but like in terms of like what I wanted to do. And part of it was the fact that like I said earlier, I didn't have like a lot of black role models in my life. And so I'm over here trying to like navigate this world, living in Tucson, Arizona, a very small percentage of people, very small percent of black people, what I mean, and people who look like me. And so when I turn on the TV and all of a sudden I see like Puff Daddy dancing around doing his thing, it hit me in a way that I didn't quite expect as a child, where it's like, oh, I that's what I'm kind of supposed to be doing is like try to be this big mega mogul of a star or whatever, just try and get it popping that way. And so like that, it really just shifted my whole perception as a person. Like I was like, okay, so I kind of want to be like Puff Daddy. That's kind of awesome what he's doing here. I mean, this dude's driving backwards down the highway right now. This dude's awesome. And so as a kid and as a teenager, I was really obsessed with Puff Daddy. No Way Home, No Way Out, sorry. I was thinking about Spider-Man. We'll get to Spider-Man later. No Way Out was definitely one of the bigger projects of my high school and post-high school life. I think that album came out, though it came out in 7th grade, maybe 8th grade is when that album came out for me. But that album pretty much defined a large part of my musical influences in terms of like, even like with the whole East Coast, West Coast beef, I was on the team East Coast, basically. And so my point is, before we get into like the dirty nitty gritty, is that like Puff Daddy played a major role in my like musical upbringing and influence. And there was even a point in time where I actually wrote a letter to Bad Boy. I think I was 13 years old. And I wrote a letter to Bad Boy being like, hey, you know, like I just want to be you. Something like that. I don't remember what the hell I said. I used to write a lot of letters as a kid. My mom would always be like, if you really wanted to say something, write a letter to them, which I guess is like the modern day equivalent of that would be like tweeting them or sending them a tweet. But I wrote letters to like Sega with like video game ideas. I wrote letters to Bad Boy. I wrote letters to everybody. Everybody got a letter from me. But I digress. Puff Daddy played a really big role in my life up to a certain point. And I think there's a point in time where I was like, all right, this guy's on some wild crap. But I've always had a level of respect for him as a black man navigating this world, billionaire, all that crap. It all kind of hit pretty well for me in the sense that I was like, I really want to do what this man is. I want to emulate what this man is doing, basically. And so fast forward to now, or even just the last couple years, where my respect for him has just gone out the window. A lot of this has to do with Cassie, you know, the fact that, you know, that whole video, that whole situation that came out is deplorable. There's really no other way to like shake that. Doesn't matter what the argument was beforehand. Doesn't matter what all the context was with the freak offs. That video is completely damning in terms of how deplorable it is, and shows you how dangerous of a man he is. And so when all this crap started hitting the fan with like all the freak offs and all this stuff and like all this trials and like Cassie's testimony and all this stuff, I got kind of confused for a second, because I thought that this man was basically being hit with like almost like a transgression of like all his past actions. Because if you look at Diddy's career, there have been multiple incidences of this man being violent. Whether it's the Steve Stout incident, the incident with Drake, the incident with J. Cole, the incident with Cassie, like those are just 4 off the top that we know about. Oh yeah, the club incident with Shine. That's 5 just like off rip that I just like came up with. And there's many more. And like the whole point is that like I thought the trial was gonna be like about, you know, that like his violent behavior and the fact that this dude might be kind of dangerous to a lot of people and is strong arming it. But the whole conversation around Diddy really turned into about, you know, his sexual preferences and what he likes to do in bed and all this stuff. And for me, it felt like a massive, like, I don't know, like almost like a humiliation ritual for Diddy, which is something that is a thing. Now, we're not going to sit here and talk about like Illuminati conspiracies or anything like that. But like, bro, everything that they talked about had nothing to do with like what this guy actually has done to people. And even with Cassie's testimony, all that really kind of did is put her in a bad light. And even when he got charged and hit with the case, like the crime, like when he got sentenced, or sorry, when they sentenced him, you know, they said that he was charged with basically moving prostitutes and dealing with prostitutes, kind of implying that Cassie was a prostitute. Now, I'm not going to sit here and talk about Cassie at all whatsoever. That's kind of a different conversation. But I will say the fact that her testimony didn't necessarily do what I think she wanted it to do, but maybe it did, in the sense that like it really just kind of felt like a way to embarrass this man. You think about everything that we heard about this testimony, all the nasty stuff that came out, none of it pointed light on the fact that this dude is a menace. And all they really had to do was like get Steve Stout on the stage, or not on the stage, on the stand, get J. Cole on the stand, get, I'm sure, the dozens, if not hundreds of people that this man has physically or tried to physically harm. But the thing is, though, he wasn't on trial for that. He was on trial for all the sex shit, and then also apparently a RICO. The RICO is kind of wild. That's a different conversation. But it was all the sex shit. None of it was for the assault. None of it was for like the strong arming or any of that. And so that's the part that blows my mind the most, is that like all this didn't necessarily feel fulfilling or satisfying to all the victims that dealt with all this crap this whole time. And that's probably like the saddest part about it, is that like if you were a victim of Diddy in any way, shape, or form over the last 30 years and you were hoping to get justice for this man, it did not happen. And I'm sorry for you. I'm sorry, because you probably were hoping that there was going to be some type of comeuppance. Now, obviously, we haven't heard his sentencing yet. He might go to jail for another 10 years, I think up to, but probably not. Probably not. He's going to probably be out on probation, and he's probably going to be out in the streets, and we're going to get a new Diddy album in the next 2 or 3 years. I almost guarantee it. But we also have to remember, if you look at the title here, Diddy pardon. Trump said that he was pretty much down to pardon this man no matter what. And that's just crazy to me. It's not crazy to me, actually, as I say that, but it's crazy just like that we live in this world where our president, who is a multiple felon at this point, kind of a sexual predator as well, and is literally charged for like a bunch of crimes, is our president, and basically is just like, yo, we're going to pardon this dude because that's my guy. We used to kick it at the Epstein Island parties back in the day, which, you know, might be actually true. And it's just crazy to me how that's the world we live in. That's just where we are right now. That's America right now, to where, you know, you got to protect your own, first of all. We're seeing a lot of tribalism in America right now. If you're black, you're rolling with the blacks. If you're Mexican, you're rolling with the Mexicans. If you're white, you're rolling with the whites. If you're a predator, you're rolling with the predators. That's basically kind of what you're seeing right now in America, is that the teams are divvying themselves up right now. And so we're living in dangerous times, man. And this whole Diddy thing is a large part of it, because it's really just kind of showcasing how effed up we live, like how effed up this world is right now. And like I said, I feel for all of the victims of Diddy. There's multiple victims. It's not just Cassie. There's like a whole slew of victims who have been hurt by this man. So yeah, anyways, I'm going to move on to the next topic, because the more I talk about that, the sadder I get. What's the next topic on here? On here, we got a bunch of new music. So a bunch of new music came out. A lot. Like over the last like few weeks. And I haven't done an episode in like a couple months, so I'm not going to go that far back. I'm mostly going to talk about like the few big releases and give you like a quick little like pap of how I feel about them. So we have the Clips, who did this crazy rollout that basically just involved airing out all their grievances with everybody they ever had over like a 4-week period, where it was just like Push T being like, yeah, F Kanye, and yeah, F Travis Scott, and yeah, you know, that's my Pusha T voice, by the way. F all these people. Yeah, we the greatest. Coke. That's basically what the rollout was, and everybody's just like kind of on the D about it. I know there was other stuff to it too, like they did the Colors performance, and like they had the deal with like, I don't even know who it was. Somebody, some type of clothing deal, and then they had the Cause like album cover. But people are just like glazing the rollout a little bit, where it's just like, oh, this is like one of the greatest rollouts I've ever seen, and it's like, is it though? It seems like it's just like a rollout that we used to do back in the day before y'all got your attention span shortened. That was like the standard rollout 10 years ago, where you just do a bunch of interviews and you maybe get a sponsorship deal and you talk about your album and then you put it out. It's really actually kind of crazy, like how many people are just like mind blown by like the Clips' rollout. But then I think about it's a generational thing, because like me being damn near, I'm 41 years old now. That's the standard. That's like how I do my rollouts, is I try to do as many interviews as possible. I try to draw as much attention to it as possible. And honestly, I blame Beyonce, because Beyonce, with her surprise drop that she did like a decade ago at this point, just fucked up the whole game. in so many ways, and people feel like they have to like be flash in the pan and grab attention and hold on to it as fast as possible, when a lot of it is about the bubbling and the brewing and the cooking and the working in the lab and actually talking about the process and all that. That's like where the real like joy and interest is at, is like, how did you get to this point? And I think that's a mindset that a lot of people have messed up, is the idea that it's like, I got to get my music out and heard. It doesn't matter how it was made. It doesn't matter what the story is. I'm going to put out a song every day for 10 years. I'm going to do all this crap just because we're trying to like combat the attention span. We're trying to like battle against the idea that like maybe your story does matter, and maybe you should put some time into actually telling people what your story is about and why you're doing this stuff. It's actually important, guys. It's actually important, and you're seeing that with Clips. Back in the day, that's literally what it was about. Like, why did you make this album? Why did you say that shit on that song? Why did you do this? Why did you do that? Nowadays, you just put the song out, and it's just like, okay, maybe after the fact you explain it, but the rollout is part of the essence, my guy. So anyways, Clips' album is pretty good. There's a little bit of glazing going on. Like, Fantano gave it a perfect 10. I don't think it's a perfect 10. There's a couple skips on that album for me. But I think that overall, it's one of the better albums of the year. I really like the way that Malice just pulled the fuck up and just barred up. He is a really good rapper, and he's better than his brother for sure. He's just more diverse. He just has more things to say than what Pusha has, and the production is solid. I think that it's kind of weird to say, but like Pharrell is actually like kind of underrated. I know that sounds kind of weird because he's Pharrell, right? But like if you look at Pharrell's run over the last 5 years, like the beats that he's done, like basically from like Cash In, Cash Out to now, his production has been crazy, dog. Like he has stepped his production up so much, like way past what he was doing with the, Chad back in the Neptunes days, and like to the point where it's like he might be the single greatest producer of all time in hip hop. That's debatable. If you want to argue with me, you can. I am looking at comments right now. I see a couple. We will talk about those later. But what I'm saying is that Pharrell has got kind of the GOAT, mostly because of the longevity and the age. It's like Pharrell is on a run that's similar to what Nas did, but like production wise, where it's just like, I'm going to make all these beats for all these artists and I'm just going to go crazy. And it's dope. Really appreciate it. Strong album. So also we got Freddie Gibbs' new album. Now, honestly, I'll be transparent, dog. I'm not the biggest Freddie Gibbs fan. Like, I'm not like, oh my God, Freddie Gibbs, and start flicking him out. But like, I always appreciate his music, and I always try to give it a listen when I can. Like, he's not like my priority, but like when new Freddie Gibbs drops and like I got time, I'm gonna listen to it. And so Alfredo 2, Freddie Gibbs is probably like, I wouldn't say he's underrated at this point, but I definitely think that he's not thought about enough, in the sense that like the conversation around Freddie Gibbs should be a lot more active than what it is. Like, we always talk about the big three, right? We always talk about Drake and Kendrick and sometimes Cole. Cole kind of fell off, but we talk about the big three, but like there's so many other rappers who are like right above that, or right below that, sorry, like JID and Freddie Gibbs, Tyler the Creator, a bunch of other rappers who are just right underneath that fucking cusp that we should be talking about a lot more than the big three, because honestly, I'm played on the Drake conversation. I'm played on the Kendrick conversation. I'm tired of these people. It's over. Go back into your holes, especially you, Kendrick, because Kendrick, he works better when he's just gone for a while and then he comes back. This dude has been outside for like 3 years, damn near. Like a me-seek, just like, I need to go back and I'm saying, I'm not supposed to be out here that long. He's doing fine. He's breaking records and shit. I'm just saying that, like, I noticed the patterns of these artists, and like Kendrick is definitely breaking his. But anyways, Freddie Gibbs' album is dope, and he's one of those artists that always remain consistent, but at the same time, he always kind of has like a plateau that he reaches. Like, he doesn't have like crazy highs, because if he did, he'd be more famous. You know what I'm saying? And when I say crazy highs, I'm talking about like that song, right? Or that moment. But he always just manages to deliver like solid hip hop. If you want solid hip hop, go listen to Freddie Gibbs. If you don't want like, I don't know, experimental, weird, or dance hip hop like Tyler the Creator did on his last album, then go listen to Freddie Gibbs. Because Tyler the Creator, like, that dude is always going to try something new, weird, and different. Like he's always gonna try and like push the threshold of like weirdness. And that's why I rock with Tyler the Creator. His rollout, talking about rollouts earlier, was like 2 days, and like he had the #1 album. I think he sold like 200K the first week. And so it's crazy to me because this dude, the way that he operates, it really is like he's one of the few artists in the industry that has proven time and time again that he really does care about music and the process and creating it and all that. Like he's proven that time and time again. It's hard to say that about every single artist. Like I don't think that every single artist feels or acts the same way about music in the creation process as Tyler does. Like Tyler has like such like a crazy obsession with this, trying to push his creative threshold in everything that he does, and it's so appreciated. It's so appreciated. I love it. And so with that said, I'm actually not a fan of his new album. I'm saying like, which is fine. Like I think it's cool. Like basically, obviously I just did like a lot of glazing right now, and so that's cool that he's, first of all, has the time and the resources to do what he did with Don't Tap the Glass and then roll it out in the way that he did. That's crazy. I don't know a lot of artists that can do that, especially like on the like level that he's at. It takes a whole team. And he just put out an album like less than a year ago. So just the flip time, he said that he made the album on tour. So it's just crazy to me, like just the whole process of how he put this whole project together in the amount of time that he did, and it's that clean. But the actual music itself, it's fine. It's fine. I'm not trying to be a hater. I'm just being real. I'm just being real. Tyler the Creator's Tap the Glass. And maybe we'll do full reviews on the Starstruck page on YouTube when we get a chance. But those are my quick thoughts on those things. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, make sure you guys are liking and subscribing. If you're watching this on Facebook, make sure I don't even know what we do on Facebook. Are we just liking the videos and sharing them, liking them and sharing them? Yeah. And then if you're on Twitch, give me money, because that's how Twitch works, right? You just give me money. You give me like subs and stuff like that, and I get money from that. So give me subs, I guess. I don't even know. I don't use Twitch enough. We're going to try to. We're going to try and be more consistent, but like I said at the top of this, like I'm very consistent at being inconsistent. That's my consistency power, is not being consistent at all. Just being random as hell. Like the fact that I decided I'm just going to go live for 2 hours on a Wednesday morning. That's just how I roll. I know I'm weird like that. But with that said, you see these words over here, Wishes Are Never Perfect. That's my next album. It's probably like the most focus I put into a project musically. That's not true, but there's a lot of consistency around that album, so that's cool. Anyways, moving on. We're moving on. We're going to talk about Spider-Man 4. So from today, if you're watching this on July 31st, 2025, exactly a year from today, we will have a motherfucking Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man 4, in theaters. And that's crazy to me. I know it's been a long time since we had a last live-action Spider-Man movie, but for some reason, this doesn't feel right. Like, I know that they work pretty quick on these movies, obviously, because they just started shooting like 2 days ago. But we don't really know a lot about this film yet. We really and truly don't. Like, only thing that we know about this film so far is that, one, it's going to be a street level film, quote unquote. It has the Punisher in it. We know that Sadie Sink has been cast for a role. We don't know what people are saying, Mary Jane, which would be weird for a variety of reasons. That's like all we know. Those three things are like the only thing that we know about this movie. Oh, also the fact that it takes place before Doomsday, like timeline wise, and like in the order the movies are coming out. And so I don't know, man. I my spider sense says that this movie will get pushed back, mostly because like there's just not enough hype on it. If you think about the hype train that we had for Deadpool versus Wolverine and Fantastic Four, those hype trains started damn near basically right now. Like the hype train was crazy for those things like right now, and we're not really seeing that right now in the moment. And so now I'm wondering, like, what are they actually going to do with this movie? Like, they're putting it in such a critical spot. Like they're basically, this is going to be the only movie that we get at this point from here until Doomsday. And we're talking about Spider-Man. We're talking about a Tony Stark MCU Spider-Man. It's going to get weird, man. I don't know how I feel about that. But I'm always going to welcome a motherfucking Spider-Man movie. Always. That's my Bob. That's my guy. But will it be good? Of course it probably will be. The director of the movie is actually the same guy who directed Shang-Chi. And that's optimistic as fuck for me because Shang-Chi is fire. Shang-Chi is probably like one of the most underrated movies in the MCU. And I say underrated because even though it has good like Rotten Tomato scores and good reviews, we don't talk about it. And we haven't seen Shang-Chi's ass since that movie. And that movie is pretty damn good, dog. Have you seen the third act where they fight like dragons and shit? That shit is like on some anime Dragon Ball Z type beat. It's crazy. It's dope. So, I mean, the director of that movie, if he brings any type of the sauce that he brought from that movie into Spider-Man 4, it will be pretty damn good. So I'm excited for that. Very excited for that. But I just watched Fantastic Four, and I will say that I'm pretty impressed with it. Like all in all, like I think that they did a good job. Did they do a great job? No, they didn't. But did they do a good job? Solid. And I think it's like when I watched the movie the first time, I liked it more than when I watched it the second time. Mostly because you start thinking about things. And I think that's how movies are supposed to kind of work. Sometimes a really good movie is when you watch it the second time and it gets better the second time. But Fantastic Four, I watched it the first time and I probably gave it like a strong 9, I think is what I gave it on Facebook. And now when I watch it again, it's probably like an 8. Just because there's like things that are like, okay, well, that happened. But I will say this. I think the main key takeaway from the Fantastic Four film that I got from it that made me the most happy is the fact that this movie is basically a Franklin Richards origin story. Subtle. And it's not like advertised as that. But when you think about it and you see the movie, you see how the movie plays out, we're seeing the origin story of Franklin Richards, the most powerful MFer in the hot damn MCU, and how he came to be. And we also see the first usage of his powers, which is bringing his mother back to life. Spoiler. I probably should have said spoiler. Spoiler. Yeah. Anyways. So when it comes to that makes me happy because Franklin Richards is like top 7. I don't know why I said 7, but it's top 7 hero for me. Why did I say 7? Let me think about it. So it's definitely going to be Spider-Man. It's like Spider-Man, Wolverine, Rogue, Franklin? Maybe. I don't know. I got to actually think about that. I kind of caught myself off guard. I'll have to make another video about my top 7 favorite superheroes because I'm sure that even putting Rogue at number 3 is kind of blasphemous for myself. I fuck with Rogue heavy, but I digress. Anyways, yeah, so the first steps is essentially just a Franklin Richards origin story. And so now the question remains, if you're a comic book fan, you kind of already see where this is going to, where Franklin is probably going to be the one that winds up resetting the Marvel Universe, the MCU, into the new version. They've already announced that they're going to do a X-Men movie here pretty soon. They're going to start casting for that. And so we're trying to figure out, or they're trying to figure out basically like, how is Franklin Richards going to play this role? And basically what it seems that if you watch the end credits scene of Fantastic Four, Doom needs Franklin to do whatever the hell he's going to do. I'm not going to talk too much about theories or spoilers too much because that's not what this is about. I'll make a separate video about it. But it's all about Franklin Richards. My big question is, though, will Franklin Richards transfer over into the next MCU? And for me, that would be extremely problematic because of the fact that Franklin Richards is so powerful and he is so strong. It could be extremely problematic just to know that you have this super strong dude just always there who can manipulate universes and time and space in any way he wants to in the MCU. So Franklin Richards probably might die. 2 things might happen. This is my prediction for the end of Secret Wars. One will be Franklin Richards becomes a Celestial, and he's removed from the chessboard as a Celestial. Because, you know, he's going to be out there doing Celestial things. Maybe he even gets Galactus as his herald. That would be fitting for a variety of different reasons. That's actually kind of dope. And, you know, he makes the new universe and he fucks off. That's theory number one. Theory number two is that he uses all his power and might to merge together the multiverse into one cohesive multiverse, and he dies in the process, like his mom did trying to fight Galactus. Those are my two main spoilers. You can timestamp these. If those things happen, come back to this video or send me a message and tell me how right and dope I am. I need that. Anyways, let's keep it moving. We got more topics, and we are 30 minutes in. I was hoping to do an hour, and I think I got like 3 more topics. And they're big topics. They're big topics. So let's go ahead and talk about these damn lists. Oh, nope, this is Epstein. Yeah, let's talk about Epstein. Fuck it. So, as I said, I haven't done an episode of the Jaron Ikner Show in a minute because I've been busy living my life out here, working on this album, working on all these other things. And a lot has happened this summer, bro. A lot has gone down this summer. A lot of crazy stuff. It's been a crazy ass year, bro, ever since this dude has gotten in the office. When I say this dude, I'm talking about Donald Trump. And basically, I'm going to give you a quick cliff notes of like the 3 beats that matter the most, which is 1, Trump runs for office and says that he is going to release the Epstein list to the people. And everybody's like, yay, and throwing up fucking banners and shit. 2, he gets elected. 3, he says, oh, never mind. I'm not putting that list out. Now, there's a lot of stuff that happened in between there, including like Elon Musk being like, oh, this nigga's on the list and other things like that. But now it gets to the point where we're at this really weird back and forth where Trump is saying all kinds of wild stuff that basically says and suggests that he was on the list or at the very least heavily involved with this man. But it just, if you read between the lines, it's like he just came out yesterday and was like, oh yeah, Epstein used to steal girls from Mar-a-Lago. The fuck? It's just crazy. And then when you look at the fact that with the Epstein list, all the people who are probably on it have been quiet. And that's the thing about it, is that like there's a lot going on in the world right now. We're fighting like 3 different wars, one on our own soil. And you know, we got tariffs, we got the economy crashing, we got all this crap going on right now in the world. And we seem to be heavily concerned with this list. Not saying that we shouldn't be. But what I'm saying is that Trump's dumbass should just be focusing on the other crap. If he was on the list, he could just be like, I'm going to go focus on this crap and go do that. But instead, him and his team, they want to keep bringing it up. They're the ones who are like, we're not going to release it anymore. And you're just like, okay, so you lied to us? You're goofy? You're goofy. It doesn't make any sense. And what's crazy about it is the fact that, like, I think personally, and this is just my public opinion, personal opinion, and you can ether me if you want to, but I personally feel that even if the list was released right now with all the names on it, pretty much nothing would happen. We might get a couple of protests. We might get a couple of like, pundits talking crap. You might get a couple of viral videos from influencers. But beyond that, I really don't see anything happening. First of all, this dude is in office right now, and you're seeing him pardon all these criminals, including maybe Diddy. Like I said, they're all linking up. They're clicking up right now. And right now, the clique runs the government. They run it. Most of these people who are voting against this list being released are probably on it or know somebody who is. And so what we're seeing is just like this corruption that's really like seeping in to the core of our country right now. And even like I said, even if the list dropped right now with all these names on it, I feel like most people ain't gonna do nothing about it because we're so knee deep in our own debt and stress and drama right now that it's like, okay, so you finally released the list. Yay, let's keep it moving. And it's sad to say that because I don't want to like think that, that's the case, that we're just gonna be complicit and just like apathetic towards this list, even though we've created all this tizzy. But that's kind of like how America works. Like, we're not necessarily even about like the results, or just more about like seeing the smoke and the drama play out. Like, we've heard about this list for a very long time now, and now we want to see the end of the story. But when the story ends, we're not going to do anything about it. That's just my theory. I might be absolutely wrong, but it's like, I'll even ask you this, person watching video, if the Epstein list was released right now, what are you going to do about it? Like, you as an individual, what would you do about it? basically nothing, right? My point is made. And that's not a shot at anybody. I'm not trying to be mean. I'm just kind of just saying what nobody else wants to say when it comes to that. And that is what it is. And I'm not going to spend too much time talking about it because it's sad. It's sad. Anyways, we're going to talk about these lists, I think, if I can find the damn thing. I put it somewhere. There's that one. Oh, maybe I didn't do it. Anyways, we don't need it. We don't need it because I can just freestyle it. So we're going to talk about these stupid ass lists. And this is more on a local level, but it also expands to a wider level when we talk about the human psychology behind it, which is why I decided to make this a topic on this episode, because most people who watch this don't care about what I'm about to talk about. Like most of my fans on these channels that watch these videos are like into movies and entertainment and news. They don't care about rapper lists. They really don't. Most people don't. The only people who really care about the list are the rappers and the scene, quote unquote. And so with all that in mind, I'm going to try and like expand the thought process a little bit. So think about Billboard. Billboard be dropping some goofy ass lists sometimes, right? Where it's like, oh, these are the best rock songs of all time. And number one's like Party in the USA or some shit like that. And the thing about the human psyche is that we've always had a level of competition and a level of ranking and a level of understanding tiers and hierarchy in our culture for as long as I can know, as long as I've known humans to exist. We've always wanted to know who was better, who was best, who should be better, who should be best. And these are things that have been debated for a very, very long time and will continue to be debated until the end of time. So that, with that said, like, I have no issues with people stating their opinions and putting it out for the public to debate about. I think that's actually beautiful. That should be happening a lot more often. The issue is, however, is that when people try to treat those people's opinions as gospel or the word, quote unquote, because of whatever reason. Like, oh, I'm going to, my list or my thought process of who I believe is the best is now the definitive standard for whatever we're talking about. Like if I decide to rate the top 10 movies of all time and I make a list, that's debatable, right? If I made a list in a group on Facebook or on my Facebook page, like saying, hey, these are the top 10 movies of all time, fuck y'all. Right? I would get billions and billions and billions, not billions, but hundreds of comments of people telling me how wrong I am. Because a list, for the most part, is based off of personal preferences, status and connection, and vibes. And what I mean by that is that most people who put people on lists are people who they fuck with. Like, not necessarily like their team, but like, you know, they've done business together. They've seen each other around. They've had conversations with each other in a format that makes it like a brevity be formed. And this applies across the board. Even like when you see those Billboard lists and they have those round tables, or like when the Vibe does a list, or even when I do my list, it's based off of what we see and hear in our radar. Now, I'm not omnipresent. I'm not omnipotent. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't fucking be everywhere at once. Nobody can. So it's cool when you do see like the round tables, but even those round tables are kind of their own little zeitgeist where they're only going to know what they know. And so with that said, they're really, unless you're basing it off of actual metrics and actual numbers, there would never really be a true list. Now, if you made a list of like most people who sell the most records, right? Drake sold the most records, right? He's number one. I'm making this up. But Drake sold the most records because you can statistically see that that's not really a list. That's more like statistics. Those are just facts. Lists come from personal opinion. 9 times out of 10. It's almost impossible to make a list without injecting personal opinion. because that's what lists is. Lists are. Lists are basically me stating my personal opinion and injecting that into whatever we're talking about. And so when it comes to that, there's a few things that we have to keep in mind. One, people don't like to be left out in anything. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're listing artists and you leave an artist out, even if they know that they just shouldn't be on the list, they're going to feel some type of way because they want to be included and recognized. I think that lists and things like that are probably like the lowest form of recognition that you can give somebody. And so when people don't make those lists, there's a bit of like, oh, like all these lists that are going on, I'm not on any of them. And part of me is like, yeah, that makes sense because I haven't been fucking with anybody like that, and I haven't been out in the streets shaking hands and kissing babies and doing all that. So that makes sense as to why I'm not on the list. If I was out here shaking hands, kissing babies, doing all the shows, doing all the contests, and being on glazing the entire scene and talking about all the DJs and all that shit, then I would be on the list. That's just facts. It wouldn't even matter how talented I was. I would be on those lists because I had networked, which is basically kind of what it is. It's about networking. It's about being like, well, these are the people who are in my circle. And some will glaze it and be like, oh, well, you know, I list people who I don't know, but you do know them because you follow them and you know their story. And it's not like they're random ass people, right? Like there's metrics and things that attracted you to those people for you to even go on that list. And so just things to keep in mind, because I have experience writing lists for actual publications. And what's crazy about that is the backlash. Like, I had people threaten me. I had people be like, oh, I'm going to pull up on you and we could talk about this in real life and see what really is about. I had people threaten my life. I've had people call me names. I've had people be like, oh, you're hurting the scene and you're causing damage to people just based off of my opinion on a list. Now, granted, my list on the Phoenix New Times, when I did those 3 or 4 lists, they have a lot more weight because of the signal that it boosts. And if you Google top rappers in Arizona, my lists are the lists that pop up. So it's like, I understand like the gravity and the weight of that, but like what a lot of people don't realize is though is that they're kind of fucking around with people's emotions. And this is what I came to realize. And this is part of the reason why I stopped doing it, because I would say like half the scene doesn't fuck with me because of what I did with the Phoenix New Times. Because they thought that I was ranking niggas and they thought that I was fucking doing something that was not genuine to the scene. But really, I probably have, well, maybe not at this point, but at the time, I had one of the most unbiased opinions in the entire scene at that point, because I really didn't give a fuck about anybody. I just would go out there and just experience shit. I didn't have no affiliation. I wasn't on any fucking team. I wasn't like a lackey for one of these fucking media companies or one of these fucking engines or one of these fucking promotion companies. I was just me out there putting an opinion, going out there with my own 2 eyes, writing what I saw. And if the politics get a little bit thick, a little bit fucky when you start to follow these threads of who are writing these lists and who they're connected to. And it's like, oh, that makes sense. It makes sense. And so that's where people get angry, because it's like, with me, people were like, well, I'm doing it. And it's like, I hear you. But there's only 10 slots on this list, bro. And there's like 18,000 artists in this fucking state. So as much as I would want to like give you all as much love as I could, I can't. And so that's why you have niggas out here doing a fucking list of 75 people, because they don't want to hurt any feelings, right? And he even said it himself, whoever he is, he's like, oh, well, I wrote 10 and I started thinking there were 10 and there were 10. If you can't like say it with your chest and like just rank niggas, you shouldn't be ranking niggas. And you shouldn't be going back trying to like glaze over it and be like, well, that's not what I meant. Or like, oh, like, well, actually, like trying to like justify all that shit. Because I like when I see all this shit play out, it's like, man, that's exactly the shit I went through fucking at this point like 8 years ago. Is like trying to like defend my answers. And it's like, I'm not going to defend my opinion. Like, this is just how I feel. And if you don't like it, then you can fuck off. That's basically how I feel about that. But in general, you got to be kind of careful with these lists, because you will hurt feelings. And even people who are on the list, you put an extra amount of pressure on them. So you could be ranked on each list and feel some type of way about it, but then all of a sudden it's like, oh, I gotta stay on. The city's watching me. I gotta stay hot. And it's like, nigga, just keep doing what you're doing. Now you're all in your head about it because you got put on some random niggas list. And like I said, I've seen this happen time and time again. This is not the first rodeo that I've seen with these lists and where artists like get all up in themselves because of any type of notoriety. And I'm talking on a local level. If you get ranked in the actual Billboard magazine, or if you're on like the cover of Vibe or Variety or something like that, then I will shut the fuck up. But we're talking about like Instagram, Facebook posts and shit. And people were like all up in the tizzy about it. And I'm only speaking on it because it's a hot topic and I need some clout and some attention right now. And I'm definitely gonna clip this up and post this all over the fucking bullshit. But the point is that I feel like if you're trying to get on someone's list, if you're trying to get seen or trying to get heard, you will fail. You will fail. Unless you go and ride dick. And that comes in a variety of different ways on how that looks like. And if I'm wrong, please tell me, but that's kind of the formula. If I'm in your line of sight, there's a higher chance that I'm going to fucking be on your little magical lists and rankings, which don't pay me or fund anything that I do or even get me any opportunities. We should be ranking like the top videographers or the top editors or the top writers, top cinematographers, things that will actually like draw interest, because ranking the top rappers doesn't do much beyond that. Like, for example, it's not even an example. It's just the logic that like how many people are actively looking for rappers for anything. First of all, there's way too many rappers. And most people who aren't in the rapping world don't know what the quality is. So it's like they're just going to hire the homies. And so when you're over here creating this like energy around what it means to be an artist, what it means to be a rapper or whatever, you're hoping that someone sees you and recognizes you. But if you're a videographer, or if you're like writing books, or if you're painting, especially if you're painting, if you're nice with it and you're painting and you're on like a top 10 painters list, you will probably get like a lot of business opportunities off of that. You'll probably get murals. You might get a couple gallery showings off of that. You see what I'm saying? But if you're a top rapper, you're not going to get much. You might be able to put it in your press kit, and I might get them saying that there's a couple steps there, but it's not like someone's going to see the list and be like, oh, this is the top rapper, I'm going to book you. That doesn't happen. It might work where it's like, oh, this is the top cinematographer, I'm going to book them because I need great cinematography for my next commercial. And so that's part of it too, is that like the just being on the list is basically the most that goes. It doesn't go any further than that. It's not going to take your career further. It could if you do the right thing with it and navigate. But most people are just going to screenshot it and repost it on their page and be like, oh, look at me, I'm on the list, and then keep moving. And that's another thing that frustrated me about when I was doing the New Times thing, is that when I was making these lists and writing these articles and doing all that, people didn't know what to do with them. They would just have the list, they would have the article, they would share it with their friends, and that's it. And that's part of the reason why I started doing press kits for people. Because I'm like, no, you're supposed to take that article and put it in your press kit. And when you put it in your press kit, you send it to people. And then people be like, oh shit, he was written in the Phoenix New Times. Which gives you a sense of notoriety, which makes it much likely for them to book you. You can't do that with like an Instagram list. You can't do that with a Facebook list. But you can do that with publications, which is why it's important. And maybe you can. I don't know. I don't know how effective it would be if you took a screenshot of an Instagram post with your name on it. That might take you somewhere. But I don't know. But I'm not going to spend the rest of the time talking about that because, honestly, that's it. We were able to get through most of the topics that I wanted to get through today. I wanted to try to keep this under an hour just because of the fact that, like, most of these episodes tend to be 30 minutes long, I think, typically. And I was like, well, I haven't been around in, like, all summer. So let's do an extra long return episode right here. And that would kind of make up for lost time. Shout out to my comments on Twitch. I see y'all. Fooly Glocks says, he's talking about Diddy. Ain't no defending him. Probably not probation. And yeah, he said probably not probation, most likely. Yeah, unfortunately, Diddy's probably just going to get probation. He's a first-time offender. He's rich as fuck. He has really good lawyers, apparently. So he's going to get off for that on probation. He's not going to go to jail. He already did time served, basically. Right now, he's offering a $50 million bailout right now, and they might take it. So we might see him on the streets sooner than later. So anyways, thank you guys for watching the Jaron Ikner Show. We got plenty more to come. Like I said, I'm very consistent at being inconsistent, so I don't know when I'll be back. I might be back tomorrow, for all you know. Or I might not be back for another 6 months. But I do know that I have an album coming out here soon. It's called Wishes Are Never Perfect. It's going to be out on multiple platforms. I got a whole thing I'm doing with this that should be a blast. And I'm excited to share with y'all. So make sure you guys follow me on wherever you're watching this, or go check out my page, Jaron Ikner, JaronIkner.life, which is right here. And you can check out my website where you'll find my latest single, Wish You Would, on there. I got another single called Hot Summer Cold Heart dropping on August 8th. So make sure you guys are ready for that when it comes. Super excited for this rollout. Also, I'm finishing up my movie, Impossible Colors. Chances are that movie probably won't get released by year's end because I want to do it right. If I put it out before then, I'll be rushing. But know that the movie is coming very, very soon, within next year. It'll probably be out before GTA 6 for show. So that's tight. Once again, this is your boy, Jaron Ikner. I'll be back again, hopefully soon enough, with another episode of the Jaron Ikner Show. I appreciate you guys watching. I am outie.